Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nivasesha Sunivadi Paschachade Shatarane. Sri Shikshastika. Will the host put it up today for everyone? Do you prefer when we do all the Sanskrit first and then all the English, or Sanskrit, English, Sanskrit, English? Anyone have preference? Because I don't care either way.
English, Sanskrit, English.
No?
I like alternating.
Okay. We'll just... Anybody?
No, that's fine.
I like alternating.
If someone's saying something, I can't hear them. Mahadana, are you saying something?
Yeah, I like.
Can't hear you.
I like alternating. Can you hear me?
She said she likes alternating, Jiva. Did you hear that? Looks like she can't hear any of us.
Oh.
Anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter. We'll do the, maybe all the Sanskrit and then all the English, taking turns. Chetadarpanam arjanam bhavamahadavagni navapanam shreyaikarava chandrika vitarnam vidyavarujivanam anandam buddhibhardanam patipadam purnamitasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam namakari bhaudani jasarva saktistra charpitani amatasmarne nakala Etadrashi tava kripa bhagavam mamapi turdhaiva medrishani hajanina naraga Trinadapi sunichena tarori vasihishnuna amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam bhajagadisha kamae Mama jamani jamanishware bhavatad bhakti rahaitaki tvai Ainanda tununja kinkaram patitamam vishame bhavam pado kripaya tava pada pankaja stita duli sadir shamba chintaya Nainam galadashudharya varanam dadgida rudaya gira pulakir nichitam vapukara tavanama grahane bhavishyati Yugayatam namishena chakshusha pravishayatam sunyayatam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name ashli shava pararatam panastumam adarshanam mamahatam karotuva yata tatava vidhatulam pato maprananatastu seeva naparaha. Someone like to start with the English?
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most recent incarnation of Krishna. He appeared 5,000 years ago in Bengal and in the form of Krishna's devotee in the mood of Srimati Radharani. He left only
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. You can't hear me? Can't hear you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can you hear me?
I can hear the other devotees,
Nobody
but
said.
I don't think Jiva can hear us.
You can't hear us. No. I can't hear anyone. How come? You can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Right.
That's not going to be any fun with questions. Was somebody reading? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that? Sorry. Okay, you can read now. I can hear you. Who's reading?
Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for you.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
Oh my Lord. When my eyes, hold on. When will my eyes be decorated? Oh, this isn't working. Somebody else ought to do it.
Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy names? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs on my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
Oh Govinda, feeling your suffering, I'm considering it is meant to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not being present for me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally.
Shikshastaka ki jai. So it's been 2 weeks since we had a class. Oh no, am I echoing too?
Yes, Mataji.
No, I don't think it's you, Jiva. Sometimes if someone else is open, then you echo. I don't think, yeah. I think it's probably Mahadana's phone. If she's open, then you will echo.
Okay. I was saying it's been 2 weeks. I'm curious if everyone remembers where we left off. Chapter
We were
2.
talking
So I think
Chapter 3, right?
And who are we talking to? We didn't quite finish chapter 2. We have like a page and a half or something.
Okay.
Does anyone remember? Can anyone recall what we were speaking about?
I think it was about to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I think Rup Goswami was allowed, but Sanatana, I completely don't remember the names, but one of the Goswamis were allowed to meet and go with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with the mission, but the other was not allowed. And then he went through a lot of, with the 10,000, I think, currency that he had, gold currency, he had to give it to many people to just make it through to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
That's pretty good. And that was Sanatana Goswami. Last time I left you with a challenge to see if anybody could find out the names of Rupa and Sanatan before they were Dabir Khas and Sakara Malik. What their birth names were. Did anybody do their homework? No?
I remember the two names, but I don't remember who's who.
Okay, what are the names?
Santosh and Anupam, I think.
Well, it's Santosh and Amara.
Oh, Amar. Oh,
Yeah. Their brother was Anupama.
I see. Okay.
Lord, whose name was Vallabha before, and Lord Chaitanya named him Anupama.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually the father of Jiva Goswami. All connected.
One big happy family.
Yeah.
Very happy.
So we are in chapter 2, and we have about, page and a half left.
Okay.
Chaitanya right here.
Lord Chaitanya was very much pleased by this behavior. What behavior? I think we got to go back a little bit. After resting, Lord Chaitanya introduced a Maharashtrian Brahmana, a devotee of his, to Sanatan. And that Brahmana invited Sanatan to accept lunch daily at his place as long as he remained in Benares. So it's nice that devotees here we see also do similar things when devotees come, they invite them over for lunch.
But you were saying what Lord Chaitanya was pleased with. Does everyone remember that Sanatan Goswami was gifted an expensive blanket by his brother-in-law? And he had that, even though he looked disheveled, he had this expensive blanket, and he got cleaned up. Chandrasekhar helped him to bathe and shave, and he got cleaned up and he came before the Lord. But Sanatan Goswami noticed that the Lord still looked at the blanket that he had, and he understood that he should get rid of it. So he went to the Ganga, he took that, and he saw a washerman there with a torn quilt. And he asked the washerman if he could exchange with him. And the washerman thought that he was just taunting him, making fun of him, mocking him. And he said, no, I assure you. Anyway, they did exchange, and Lord Sanatan Goswami came back with this torn quilt, and Lord Chaitanya was very pleased with him with that renunciation. I believe that's what this is talking about here.
And then the next paragraph, as long as I remain in Benares, I will beg from door to door, Sanatan said, but the Lord will be so good as to accept this invitation for daily lunch at your house. But the Lord will be so good as to accept. Lord Chaitanya was very much pleased by this behavior of Sanatan's, but he noticed, so Jiva was wrong, I just had to tell you, but he noticed the valuable blanket that he had been given to him by his brother-in-law. While Sanatan was en route to Benares, he was given the blanket by his brother-in-law. Although Lord Chaitanya did not say anything about the blanket, Sanatan understood that he did not approve of such a valuable garment on his body, and therefore Sanatan decided to get rid of it. He immediately went to the bank of the Ganges, and there he saw a mendicant washing an old quilt. When Sanatan asked him to trade the old quilt for the valuable blanket, the poor mendicant thought that Sanatan was joking with him. "How is this?" the mendicant replied. "You appear to be a very nice gentleman, but you are mocking me in this unmannerly way." "I am not joking with you," Sanatan informed him. "I am very serious. Will you kindly exchange your torn quilt for this blanket?" Finally, the mendicant exchanged his torn quilt for the blanket. Sanatan returned to the Lord. Somebody's mic is on somewhere. They can shut it.
Oh, I thought we read this.
It's okay. You read it.
Maybe.
Well, for sure you did.
Yeah, I did.
Mhm. But anyway, so he was glad that he was going to beg instead of, Lord Chaitanya was glad that Sanatan was going to beg instead of just accepting the food at someone's house. I'd like to know, Nanda Gopal, when you offered somebody to come that's staying, for food, do they say no, they just want to go beg instead? Anybody come? No, okay.
Maybe that's like with some swamis, the sannyasis, sometimes they do that. It's called madhukar.
In America, they don't do that too often.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, I am very serious. Will you kindly exchange your torn quilt for this blanket? Finally, the mendicant exchanged his torn quilt for the blanket, and Sanatan returned to the Lord. "Where's your valuable blanket?" the Lord immediately inquired. Sanatan informed him about the exchange, and the Lord loved him for this and thanked him. You want to read?
His choice of words is just funny. You are intelligent enough, and you have now exhausted all your attraction for material wealth. In other words, the Lord accepts a person for devotional service only when he is completely free from all material possessions. The Lord then told Sanatan, it would not look good for you to be a mendicant and beg from door to door with such a valuable blanket on your body. It is contradictory, and people would look on it with abhorrence.
Well, I got some questions here. Do you have anything to say?
Oh, isn't there a verse by Queen Kunti? Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribir Eramana Marapuman Naivahati Avidatum by Twam Makinchana Gocharam. That the Lord, he can easily be understood by those who are materially impoverished, when they've given up their feelings for the material. Like in the Bible, doesn't it say something like you cannot serve two masters?
Yeah, we have a lot of Christians on this this call.
They go ill together.
I have a question. You are intelligent enough, and you have now exchanged all your attractions for material wealth. In other words, the Lord accepts a person for devotional service only when he's completely free from all material possessions. So what does that mean? We should all give up all our material possessions because he doesn't accept us until we do?
I think it's like you said, a pauper can be attached to his penny.
Yeah, okay, let's just say you're not attached, give up all attachments. That's for sure. You can have it, but not be attached. So is any of us still attached to anything? I mean, I know I'm not. I don't know about anybody else.
I was just thinking the Lord is never going to accept me because I am attached to a lot of things.
I know. So what does it mean? The Lord accepts a person for devotional service only when he is completely free from all material possessions. I would say what it means is that to the degree in which we still are attached to material possessions, to that degree, we're not going to really get the full mercy of the Lord. How are you going to see Krishna? How are you going to know who Krishna is? You can actually see him. He can give himself to you. But that's only going to be when you really have no attraction for anything in this material world. But he still accepts whatever we do. We do a little something, he accepts it. Any small amount of service can protect us from the most dangerous type of fear of falling down and taking a lower body in the next life. But to go back home, back to Godhead may be harder.
Yeah, it's not having them, but it's having the attachment for them.
Yeah, we're talking about the attachment, right?
Yeah.
And I good.
Oh, just one, it's the Ishavasya principle that keeps coming up. That, if we understand the true proprietor of everything, we'll understand that we don't really own anything to begin with. That should aid in our becoming detached from material things.
I remember Niranjana Swami was showing a video in Ukraine and asking the devotees to help the devotees there. And I mentioned to him, privately, that it doesn't look like they need help. All these women have beautiful saris. They all have beautiful opulent saris and jewelry. I don't know if the jewelry is real or not, but they had the saris themselves were not cheap saris. Could see it. So why are they dressed like that? And they're acting like they're so poor. So and that's in real life. That happened in this life with me and Narendra Swami. He realized that was a fact. But I didn't think about this thing with Sanatana Goswami, but it's the same thing. He's going out begging with a real rich blanket. Who's going to give him anything? So it would not look good for you to be a mendicant and beg from door to door with such a valuable blanket on your body. It is contradictory. And people will look on it with abhorrence, with abhorrence. Whatever that is, that's what it's going to look, though. So if you're going to be begging, you shouldn't have a lot of opulent things. Any questions or comments? Only 2 people have their picture. Well, I'm glad at least we got 2 people we can look at.
But it seems a little hopeless that we might ever go back to Godhead.
Well, I said back to Godhead, but I think I'm thinking more in this life. If you had no attachments, you can actually see Krishna. Krishna may reveal himself to you. I'm not saying you definitely will, but you could. And he certainly will reveal himself to you much more than if you have attachments. The more we can give up, the more he will reveal himself to us, to the degree in which we give things up. I'm still under the hope and praying that we'll get some special mercy at the time of death.
But it's not just detachment, right?
No.
The Maya body may also be detached from
Yes.
the material world.
They're not detached.
But they may be more detached.
They're more
than us.
detached than us, yeah. That don't take much, but
But
yeah.
we love Krishna.
You have to not just become detached, but this is an example of if you're going to be begging too, how you're going to go out dressed like that and go door to door trying to be austere. But it's a question of becoming attached to Krishna. That's the most important thing. But just becoming detached is certainly not enough. You're detached from everything. But then if you're not attached to Krishna, you're going to get attached to something else.
I always understood that if we focus on just trying to become more attached to Krishna, automatically with that higher taste, we'll become detached from everything else.
I think Jiva has a point there.
Nothing can compare.
Maji, there's a verse in Bhagavatam, Vasudeve Bhagavati
we have
Bhakti Yoga
to
Prayojitaha Janayati
become
Ashu
attached to
Vairagya
Krishna.
Gnanam
That's the
Cha
most
Yat Ahut.
important thing. automatically the detachment will come. Even there's a saying, I'm not sure who said it, Jiva will probably tell you who said it, but if you're interested in material opulence, friends, family, and then don't look at the boy on the other side of the river, Govinda, because
Smeram
if you
Bangita
do,
Parit-
then you're not going to want any of those other things anymore. So
Are
who
you
said
not
that?
hearing us again?
Rupa Goswami. I
Jiva,
thought it was one
Jiva
of
and
the.
Pyari. I
Can't
didn't
hear
hear.
us?
Yeah, because Multipriya said something and it sounded like you didn't hear her at all. Are you hearing everyone?
We didn't hear her.
Could you
Can
hear
you hear me?
Now we hear you.
Okay, I was just saying the verse from Bhagavatam, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahetukam. That says that when you do devotional service, you get knowledge and material detachment at the same time.
Right.
Vairagya Vijnanija Bhakti Yoga. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya wrote the verse where he's saying that Lord Chaitanya came to teach knowledge and detachment. And that's through devotional service.
Yeah, and that verse, Murali Manohar, that verse, Meram Bangita Traya Parichitam Sachivistrina Drishtim Vamshinyastadara Kishalayam Ujwalam Chandrakena Govindakyam Haritano Itakeshi Tirtopakante Ma Prekshista Stavayadi Sake Bandhu Stiranga, right? That's the one you were quoting.
You're becoming a great scholar, Gita Mala.
I'm not becoming a great scholar. That's one of my favorite verses. And Srila Prabhupada had that Murali Manohar picture with him when he crossed the Jaladuta. And I memorized it when I was 22 and read the Lilamrita for the first time. That's the only reason I remember it. And it is one of my favorite verses.
Well, that's a really good verse. Very good. Okay, any other comments or questions? Sorry we didn't hear you. My mic, somehow I made it lower and I made it too low. Not my mic, my speaker. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading. Whatever I am doing to become free from material attachment is all your mercy, Sanatan replied. The Lord was very much pleased with him, and they discussed spiritual advancement. So it's all the Lord's mercy. Previous to this meeting between Lord Chaitanya and Sanatan Goswami, the Lord had met a householder devotee named Ramananda Roy. At that meeting, which is discussed in a later chapter, Lord Chaitanya asked Ramananda Roy questions, and Ramananda replied as if he were the Lord's teacher. However, in this case, Sanatan put questions to the Lord, and the Lord answered them. The instructions of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatan Goswami are very important for people in general. The Lord taught him the process of devotional service, which is the constitutional occupation of every living entity. Because this is so, it is every man's duty to advance in spiritual science. Many subjects were thoroughly discussed in the talks between Lord Chaitanya and Sanatan Goswami. Due to the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Sanatan was able to put important questions before him, and these questions were replied to properly. So not only that, they don't mention this, but Sanatan remembered all of these answers, and then wrote about them later on, which most of us, you hear a lot of things and you remember a small portion of them. I mean, how many people have taken a foreign language when they went to college? Not their own language, a foreign language they didn't know. And how much of that language do you know now? Poquito. So we forget so much. Sanatan was, not a
super
ordinary,
brain.
not an ordinary living entity.
Plus divine inspiration, from the Lord directly.
And of course, Sanatan has given everything to the Lord. It's all because of his mercy. And that is true. We may think we're the doer in so many things, but we have to see it's all Krishna's mercy. So the meeting of Sanatana Goswami and Lord Chaitanya teaches us that to understand spiritual subject matters, one must approach a spiritual master like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and make submissive inquiries. This may seem like a very simple thing for us to understand, but there was a lot of Westerners years ago who thought you get spiritual advancement by some spiritual person touches you in the head and bingo, wow, woo, and it's all there. You don't have to do anything. But you actually have to work. You have to hear. The best way to learn something is by hearing. You know, if somebody wants to teach you something, you have to listen. And if you don't listen, you don't just, you know, there's people who might think, there actually are people who think that by talking, you lose something. But they try to communicate some other way, and then nobody understands what the heck they're trying to say. You know, it's just not practical. Best way is you inquire submissively from someone who knows. I just read Srila Prabhupada, this lady, this was a bunch of professors apparently, but some lady asked a question about cynicism, right? About how do you not become cynical? What's an exercise you can perform to help you so you don't become cynical? Because sometimes somebody does something to you and then you really feel you don't like that person, you think badly. So she asked Srila Prabhupada, so what's an exercise I can do to not be cynical? And Prabhupada's answer, you remember?
He's not expert in that field.
He said, I don't know that science. I know Bhakti Yoga. I can teach you Bhakti Yoga. And then one of the professors says, I think you already answered that question before when you said this. And then Prabhupada said, yes, you have to accept a bona fide spiritual master. You have to inquire from him submissively, render service to him. And the self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he's seen the truth. But he's not going to just impart knowledge to somebody who's just asking some special exercise for mundane thing. It's not important. You practice Bhakti Yoga, automatically you'll get free from cynicism. You won't be, you'll develop all the godly qualities of the demigods just by engaging in this devotional service. It's so potent. You don't have to do any other exercise. You want an exercise? Chant Hare Krishna. That'll help you. I asked Jiva that question because when I read the question, I thought of things I would say, you know, mainly chant Hare Krishna or something like that. And I asked Jiva what she would say. And then because I already was surprised when I saw what Srila Prabhupada said. I don't know that science. I'm not expert in that science. It was really good. You know, you want some certain mundane answers, some little trick things you can do for some material problem. How do I stop smoking? Even though that for devotees, he told them how. He told the devotee, you know, you smoke, you know, there's 20 cigarettes in a pack. So today you smoke 20, tomorrow you smoke 19, the next day you smoke 18, and in 20 days you don't smoke anymore. You know, so they told the devotee that. He didn't even say you have to immediately stop smoking, give it up. He gave him 20 days to give it up. You know, but he's a devotee and he wants to do devotional service and he wants to do the things you have to do and not do the things you're not supposed to do. So Prabhupada answered his question. Okay, so the meeting of Sanatana Goswami and Lord Chaitanya teaches us that to understand spiritual subject matters, one must approach a spiritual master like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and make submissive inquiries. This is confirmed in the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita 4:34, where Lord Krishna says that one should approach a man of authority and learn the spiritual science from him, a bona fide devotee. Doesn't say that here, but that's what it is.
One thing is, people talk about holistic education, holistic health, holistic, but they're not getting to the, the spiritual science. Like here he says, it's everyone's duty to pursue this spiritual science. Even Prabhupada would say, there's so many universities. Where's the one that teaches the science of the soul, science of the self? People don't understand the importance of the spiritual science. They focus on the material science. But if you really want holistic education, you also have to teach the spiritual science.
Yeah,
Won't
who's
be
the
complete.
devotee? Was it Jagannath something who gave class this morning?
Jagannath Priya.
Jagannath Priya. Anyway, afterwards, I was looking up some things on exercise, and Prabhupada, one of the things he says, you exercise you exercise to keep your body fit, but what exercise do you do for your soul? That's of course, I'm not talking about him, but he was talking about exercise. That's what got me into it. And I did find out a bunch of things about exercise. Prabhupada says, you don't have to do hatha yoga, any exercise. And then he mentions one thing, I don't know how to find it on here. If I could, I might lose everybody.
You have to minimize.
Will they see me? Okay,
No.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, can you still see us? The same?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now I'm just gonna look at this one thing I found funny. I never heard Prabhupada talk before about his grandmother, but let's see, is this the one? Yeah. That also we sometimes neglect. I don't know what that was about, means. Okay. Everything which is born, that is praja. Praja means taking birth. Any animals, they're all praja. Children. And then it says, our grandmother used to engage us for watering work. These pots, so apparently there's some pots his grandmother would engage him to water. And that water was brought from down 2-3 stories down. And we used to bring bring and put. That is good exercise. And sport also. Competition between children. It's kind of a little broken up, but it's just exactly the way he said it. That's why it's written. But he talked about his grandmother, how his grandmother, how do we get back? Yeah. How his grandmother would have them water the pots and bring the water down 3 stories or up 3 stories. I'm not sure which way it actually was. But he said that was good exercise. He also talked about exercise. If you dance in kirtan, that's all you have to do for exercise. So we want to see people exercising in kirtan, dancing.
And I think in one other place he said Mother Yashoda and all, they churn butter and that's the kind of exercise for them.
Yeah, he also talked that the ladies in Dwarka are on the roof playing some kind of ball or something, and that was exercise.
Yeah.
So.
And also one of those ones you had, it said, it's like the more you eat, the more you need to exercise.
Yeah.
If you don't eat much, you don't need as much exercise.
Yeah, it says if you don't eat much, you don't need to exercise at all. He said that, so.
Because only the total calories count.
What?
Only the total number of calories, either you intake or you burn them. So that's how you lose weight.
Right. So yeah, if you don't take it in, then you don't have to get rid of them. You don't have to exercise. Anyway, there was a lot of things. We could talk about the exercise stuff later, but I just thought about Prabhupada and his grandmother. I've never heard him mention his grandmother before. I know nothing whatsoever about his grandmother. Now I know that she would have them bring water to water the pots, water the plants. And then Prabhupada said, and that was good exercise.
And also competition, sport.
Yeah, we can compete. We used to compete in
children.
volleyball. But anyway, I have to have another picnic so we can, with a volleyball set somewhere. Okay, you want to read?
July 4th.
4th or 5th?
4th is the Monday.
Oh,
Yeah, fourth is Sunday.
Oh, 4th is the Sunday.
Oh,
The
4th
5th is
is Sunday? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, then Monday, July 5th.
Fifth is holiday. Yeah.
I think you're just studying too many verses. You don't even know what day it is anymore.
Let's put it on that one.
Okay, teachings to Sanatan Goswami. From the instructions of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatan Goswami, we can understand the science of God as it relates to God's transcendental form, his opulence, and his devotional service. Indeed, everything will be explained to Sanatan Goswami by the Lord himself. First, Sanatan fell at the feet of the Lord and with great humility asked about his own real identity. Quote, I was born in a lower family, Sanatan said. My associations are all abominable, and I am fallen, the most wretched of mankind. I was suffering in the dark well of material enjoyment, and I never learned the actual goal of my life. Indeed, I do not even know what is beneficial for me. Although in the mundane sphere, I am what is known as a greatly learned man. I am in fact such a fool that I also think I am learned. You have accepted me as your servant, and you have delivered me from the entanglement of material life. Now, please tell me what my duty is in this liberated state. So he's already liberated because he surrendered to Lord Chaitanya. But it's interesting how, he offers obeisances. He sees he's a fool, even though materially he's one of the smartest people in the world. But he sees, in relationship to one's spiritual master, you should always see yourself as a fool.
he's so humble. And he says a low-class family. He was actually born in a very high-class Brahmin family. And he said that he didn't know the goal of life or something, but he was studying the Srimad Bhagavatam.
No, that was at the end. That was
Yeah.
at the end. That's after he met Lord
But
Chaitanya.
he was a devotee.
Yeah.
He's just so humble.
But his association was abominable. I mean, if you look at all of Prabhupada's disciples, maybe not all, but almost all, at least all in the Western world, simply were born in really low-class families. Pretty much every single family ate meat, and they took intoxications, at least most of them, if not all of them. And their association was the same. It was like, real, it's like Rakshasas practically. But yet he was able to change them. So, of course, Sanatan wasn't in such a situation, but he's looking at himself as though he was. Any questions, comments? This is also chapter 3 that we just started. Teachings to Sanatan Goswami. From this plea, we can understand that liberation is not the final word of imperfection. There must be activities in liberation. Sanatan clearly says, you have saved me from the entanglement of material existence. Now, after liberation, what is my duty? Kindly explain it to me.
Sorry, did you say imperfection?
In
Imperfection. Oh, I thought it sounded like you said imperfection.
not imperfection.
Okay.
Not the final word, in perfection. How many people heard in perfection? How many people heard imperfection? We want to have a fight here, so if you
How
can-
many people didn't hear anything?
Because there's no reaction either way.
That's a good one. So that's really a good point. Now, please tell me what my duty is in this liberated state. The liberated state doesn't mean now you don't do anything. Now you just start doing things. Now you start actually acting. It's like we had at the temple today, and Gita Mala, who wasn't there, sent Prashadam. And I want to tell you, I don't know, from now on, if I want to buy a watermelon, I'm going to have you get it for me, because that watermelon was unbelievably great.
Really?
Yeah, it was really good. I couldn't believe it.
Yes, Krishna is the one who picked it for all of you.
Do you do anything special when you pick a watermelon?
No, somebody told me that you should look for yellow on the watermelon. So I looked for the yellow on the watermelon.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay, even if you don't get anything else from this class, how to pick a watermelon. But so many people came and they were all engaged really in devotional service. And one devotee afterwards says he wasn't really happy while he was doing the service. And I said, I didn't even think about if I'm happy or not. But then I'm looking at myself as what I was doing, and I don't think I was happy. It's like I was pretty angry at everybody and everything. I'm just doing this work. I want to get it done. I mean, I don't think I was like, oh, this is so beautiful and wonderful. I just did it. I had a job to do, and I'm very happy I did it. I'm glad I did it. And then everybody did it. Most people were a little happier than I was, maybe, but they all did their service. And it was really nice. And we got so much accomplished. I just think about what I want to get done and get it done. And I really don't think about how I feel when I'm doing it. It's not a consideration. But when I look at myself, I remember one time I was working really, really hard, and I get intense. I get really intense. And I remember going to the bank, and because I was doing the bank, I did so many things. So I go to the bank and I sit down. I had to sit down. I had to talk to the lady at the bank, and she says, "How come you're so angry?" And I started laughing. I said, "That's just the way I get things done. I just if I start joking around or relaxing, I can't get it done." But I laughed because that's what I seemed like, and I wasn't angry at all. I was just getting a lot done. So anyway, so if anybody thought I was angry, I wasn't really angry. That's just the way I get more stuff done. But that's when you're liberated, there's activity. We were all engaged in activity that liberated people do. You know, Prabhupada said you already liberated. To the disciples, you're already liberated. Liberation isn't such a big thing. But real liberation, real service begins after you're liberated. Cleaning Krishna's kitchen. That's real service. And not just the kitchen. We also did the basement. We also did the temple room. We also did the Pyari room. I mean, we cleaned the whole building to much better than it was. In certain areas, we cleaned pretty much completely. But that's what you do when you're liberated. Any questions? Okay. Now, after liberation, what is my duty? Kindly explain it to me. Sanatan further inquired, who am I? Why are the threefold miseries always giving me trouble? And finally, please tell me how I can be relieved from this material entanglement. I do not know how to question you about advancement in spiritual life, but I beg that you kindly, mercifully let me know everything I should know. So I don't even know how to ask the right questions, but please let me know what it is I need to know. I don't want to, I may not ask the right thing. So if I don't, just let me know what it is I should know. That's all. Humble. Humble is really nice quality, best quality for a devotee. Be humble, especially to his guru or Krishna. Of course, ultimately, when we become, self-realized, we go back to the spiritual world, we get a spiritual body. We may not be humble with Krishna, but that's because we may have a different relationship with him. We may be his friend, and we may not be so humble. If you don't want to play, then you can't play anymore. You're going to ruin it for everybody. That's where you want to be. You might not be so humble in certain instances, but that's we can't even understand that. That's you're covered by Yoga Maya. You don't know he's God. You just love him so much, and you treat him. It's out of love that you're doing all this, because you don't want him to go away. So you try that. Of course, no matter what Krishna does, they're not going to stop playing with him. But then Krishna thinks that they're not going to play with me anymore. So I'm not, and that's so enjoyable for Krishna. So, but the humility is there always, even if you have your spiritual master in the spiritual world, you're going to still have relationship with him, and it would be always with awe and reverence with the spiritual master. But the relationship with Krishna can go beyond awe and reverence, but never with the spiritual master. Of course, it could be friendly too, but at the same time, there's always this awe and reverence. Any questions, comments? Anything?
Well, I was just thinking that, how the first sentence was how the teachings of Lord Chaitanya are not different from the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. And they're not, but to me, it seems like the teachings of Lord Chaitanya is like in practice, Bhagavad Gita in practice. And it's where kind of like picking up where Bhagavad Gita leaves off, surrender. But then now, after surrender, real activity begins, and that's devotional service. And we'll get into that more also with Ramananda Roy, as he mentioned in a later chapter. But it's the same, and you'll hear Bhagavad Gita quoted quite a bit in here too.
The Bhagavad Gita tells all of everything, but this is more of how to practically apply it to your life. Also, when you read, at least when I read Chaitanya Charitamrita, I could relate it so much more to ISKCON. When I read, Krishna book or Bhagavatam about Krishna's pastimes, I can't relate it to anything that's going on today. But Lord Chaitanya, you can relate to him and the devotees, and Prabhupada and the devotees, and just see so much. It's just like they're devotees, and it's 500 years ago. Seems like a long time ago, and it is a long time ago in one sense, but at the same time, it's not that long ago. And these devotees weren't so different than devotees today. I mean, we can say they're different, that they're much more spiritually advanced, but we don't know who the devotees are today either. Somebody may be very spiritually advanced. But when I read Chaitanya Charitamrita, I could definitely relate it to this movement. And I really like that. And Krishna, I definitely can't relate to this movement or anything. I never seen a 12-mile long witch laying dead, and 12 miles. I never saw a snake where its mouth is so big, it's up in the clouds, its teeth are in the clouds. It's like, I mean, I love these stories, but I have no experience of anything like this, or some other demon that you get on top of and he flies up in the sky and he shows this form and he's huge, and Balaram punches him in the head. And I mean, it's like, it's very, very wonderful, but it's like, where do you see that? They don't go out your door and see any of these things happening. But for the preaching, you see that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you see so many activities where there's kirtan, there's so much going on. And we can do that, and we can see it, and we can relate to it. There are things in Chaitanya Charitamrita that we don't see also, but they're not like nearly as different than in Krishna Lila. 5,000 years ago, I guess people were a lot more open to these things or something, I don't know. But if they happen nowadays, what would they be doing with big demons like this coming? They did planes, try to shoot them down,
They just make movies.
Make movies, yeah, King Kong.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the process of accepting a spiritual master. One should approach a spiritual master humbly, submit to him, and then inquire from him about one's spiritual progress. The Lord was pleased by Sanatan's submissive behavior, and he replied, "You have already been blessed by Lord Krishna, and therefore you know everything and are free from all the miseries of material existence. Yet even though, due to your Krishna consciousness, you have naturally achieved the grace of Krishna and are thus already conversant with everything, because you are a humble devotee, you are asking me to confirm what you have already realized." This is very nice. So it's not like saying, what are you wasting my time for? You already know this. I got things to do. Like somebody may hear somebody else say sometime. But Lord Chaitanya, he knows you know this, but you are questioning me. This is very nice. Even though you realize all this is very nice that you're questioning. So these are the characteristics of a true devotee. In the Naradiya Purana, it is said that by the grace of the Lord, one who is very serious about developing Krishna consciousness has his desire to understand Krishna fully fulfilled very soon. Read that again. It is said that by the grace of the Lord, one who is very serious about developing Krishna consciousness has his desire to understand Krishna fulfilled very soon. So if we have this desire, this is a really good desire. We're not desiring to become a billionaire or millionaire or something. That may take even much longer, may take a few lifetimes, who knows what it will take. But if our desire is to become Krishna conscious, very soon that desire will be fulfilled. Oh, wow. It's 8 o'clock. My desire is fulfilled. No, I wasn't ready to end, but I'll read one more short paragraph. You are a suitable person to protect the devotional service of the Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued. Therefore, it is my duty to instruct you in the science of God, and I will explain everything to you, step by step. Very nice, step by step, not just going here, going there. Very logical, orderly fashion.
It's called the science.
Science, yes. And even Prabhupada did that. You have to first understand the first step before you can go to the second step. When he talks to Christians, first thing, almost always, is not to eat meat. Why? Jesus says, "Thou shalt not kill." Why are you killing the animals? And he doesn't go any further. If they don't even understand that, it's useless to go further. So you have to go step by step. You have to understand this step before you can understand the next step, or you can take the next step. Okay. So any questions or comments? Or Jiva, you got anything?
Just that these instructions to Sanatana Goswami are for every living entity, just like Bhagavad Gita is meant for everyone. not just Sanatana Goswami. And Lord Chaitanya could have delivered all this knowledge himself, but he chose to instruct his devotees in the science of devotional service, and and therefore also glorify them in the process.
Yeah, he could have done anything. He was God, but he's leaving it for his devotees. And he sure left a very big chunk for Srila Prabhupada. Everything else was just done in India. And Srila Prabhupada came and spread it all over the world. Nobody's ever done anything like that. And nobody can ever do anything like that again because it's already done.
Unique.
If you want to compete, you have to go to other planets. And if you go to higher planets, they kind of already know this stuff. So you'd have to go to lower planets if you want to go there.
Maybe subterranean heavenly planets.
Yeah, subterranean heavenly planets, or maybe some other middle planets where we are. I don't know what's a middle planet besides us. Okay, and nobody else? Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
last time,
Sorry, Mataji, go ahead.
yeah, you go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji. Prabhu, you said when Sanatana Goswami submissively asked Lord Chaitanya a different question, Lord Chaitanya answered everything, right?
Yes.
But we see that Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think Madhya Lila, chapter 20. I'll give you the chapter. So it says, text number 364. It says, Sanatana Goswami said, the color of the personality in whom the characteristics of the Lord are found is yellowish. His activities include the distribution of love of Godhead and the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And then he continues, Sanatana Goswami. The incarnation of Krishna for this age is indicated by these symptoms. Please confirm this definitely so that all my doubts will go away. And in reply, Lord, instead of explaining, Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh Sanatana, you must give up your intelligent tricks." So he did not answer that question.
That's all he says?
Yeah, I will. Then he's like switched the topic. He says, just try to understand the description of the Shaktabesha avatar. But he didn't answer what Sanatana Goswami asked for.
So what's your question?
I'm trying to understand like what you said, like you said Sanatana Goswami submissively asked, but Lord Chaitanya, this is why he answered everything.
He answered everything he needed to know.
He answered in regards to the science of devotional service.
Right, true, but he answered everything, but this specific question, he said, you must give up your intelligent tricks. He did not answer.
Yeah, he was trying to trick him.
Yeah, sometimes people try and trick the spiritual master. And we can give you a story. You want a story of the shoes?
Yeah, because that's the one he said.
Yeah.
Don't trick this spiritual master.
Well, I'll start telling it. This one devotee who was guarding Prabhupada's door. He's a guard, big Kshatriya type devotee. And he noticed every day Prabhupada would leave his shoes outside the door and he would go in the room. And then he saw his shoes, he examined his shoes, they're practically brand new. And they're, size 9 or whatever size it was, I don't remember, 8.5. And he decided he's going to buy a pair and he's going to, after Prabhupada goes in the room, put the new pair there and take the old pair. And so he had his plan. And then he told a friend, and his friend said, oh, he wants to do that too,
Yeah.
So they can get Prabhupada's shoes. So go ahead.
So Prabhupada would come out of his room, put on the shoes, walk to the temple, take them off, go in the temple for the program, darshan class, come out, put on his shoes, walk back to his room, take off his shoes, and go inside. This was his daily routine. They saw every day he would do this. So Prabhupada comes out, puts on his shoes, goes to the temple, takes them off, goes in for the program, comes out, puts on his shoes. He walks back to his room and he walks in with the shoes that day that the devotee planned on taking them. And the devotee was like shocked, he was just waiting there because he's a bodyguard, so he's outside. And then a servant comes out and he tells him, I don't remember his name. Are you so-and-so? He said that, oh yeah, the devotee switched the shoes that day. That day, the devotee did switch the shoes and Prabhupada wore them in. And so Prabhupada sent a message for the devotee. Thank you for the shoes. You can keep the old ones, but you should not try to trick the spiritual master. So he knew.
So,
And so he went and told his friend. So Prabhupada knew his, his plan.
Still appreciated the new shoe, huh?
Yeah. Thank you for the new shoes. By the way, you can keep the old.
Yeah, but
Oh,
don't.
but lucky person to have kept his old ones.
Yeah. But don't try to trick the spiritual master. That's even more than the shoes itself.
Yeah.
And he get that message from your spiritual master. How does he know?
Yeah. That's going to stay with you.
He knows. Another time when devotee was getting initiated, what are the 4 regulated principles? And he told him no eating fish, no eating meat, fish, or eggs, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. And Prabhupada says, and which one are you most attached to? And then he says, Srila Prabhupada, you're reading my mind.
And I think Kurma Rupa told me this one, that they were walking on the beach or somewhere, and somebody asked the question, Prabhupada, would you know like how many coconuts are on that coconut tree or something? Then Prabhupada says something like, you should not ask your spiritual master silly questions, But then he walked a little further and then he said the exact number of coconuts that were on the tree.
Well, he said he knows whatever Krishna wants him to know. He's in touch with Krishna. Krishna knows everything. And Krishna lets him know whatever he needs to know.
He is the external manifestation of Super Soul. So he's directly in touch with Super Soul.
So Krishna probably told him how many coconuts are on the tree. So he told him.
Yeah. Right.
There's so many stories where
I know, so many. Yeah.
knows her heart. Yes.
He told me another one when there was so uproarious kirtan in one of the temple programs. I think it was a evening aarti or something, and the kirtan was so loud that actually the light bulbs broke. And but the kirtan was so ecstatic that nobody stopped and everybody was dancing like anything and nobody stopped. And then later on, they looked for glass to clean the floor. There was like no glass on the floor. There was nothing to clean, even though the light bulbs broke.
It was all in the devotee's feet.
Was? I don't know. I don't think so. He didn't tell me that. But he said that they were all shocked that there wasn't anything on the floor to clean, that nobody stopped the kirtan. They were just so ecstatic. But it was so loud and uproarious that some light bulb broke, but nobody saw the pieces afterwards. So many little miraculous things that,
Yes. Okay, let's offer our obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord.
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः।
Antakoti Vaishnavanda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Pyari Mohan Prabhu and Jiva Mataji ki jai.
Glories to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu's Mataji. For those of who can, I would request you to please stay on the line. We are going to have our Saturday night Kirtan. We have Madhav Kanda Prabhuji's family. Haribol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Supadaya Krishna Pestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachanya Deshakarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachata Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare नाम संकीर्तन की जय प्रभुपाद की जय हरि बोल
Chaitanya Prabhu ki jai. Fire.